And welcome back to our channel for another awesome episode. And this time we are reading Hello Neighbor, Missing Pieces, guys. Yes. So, first, I want to start out by saying thank you so much for coming back and tuning in, checking us out. We really appreciate you. And I also want to let you know that my daughter, as you see, she's not here, but for good reason. She's in college. She's been in college ever since we started the channel. And we've always wanted her to be a part of every episode. And so we kind of try to wait, and it's not fair to you guys. So she had to, and we all had to accept that we was going to do this episode without her. However, she'll be back. She's not gone. And again, she's in college, guys, where I want each and every one of you guys to go to. So remember, it's always about, never about what you don't know. Always about what you're willing to learn. And she's out there learning stuff. So we can't stop that, and we won't stop that. We're going to encourage that, and we're going to support it, guys. So if anything, you can leave a comment in the channel and say, good luck with college, great job, or just thumbs up on the video. All right? So no further ado, we're not going to hold you. And we are going to recap since we left off for chapter 11. And we always like to recap to let you know what was happening in the chapter. So, Jamia, let them know what happened.
So Nikki was spending a night at Aaron's house making a part machine, and then when they both went to sleep, and then Nikki woke up to go get a glass of water, and then when he came back, he was lost. And then he saw Mr. Peterson's name written on it with all the stuff that he has accomplished when he worked at the Golden Apple Music Park. And then he went into Mr. Peterson's office, a work machine to do his stuff, and found curled up blueprints. And then he found a note that was saying that they thought. So Nikki was spending that night at Aaron's house making a fart machine, and then they both went to sleep. And then Nikki went downstairs to go get some water. And then when he came back, Nikki was lost. And then he found Mr. Peterson's name.
Wait a minute. Oh yeah, he was walking around the house and everybody was asleep, right?
Yeah.
Like, why would you be? Okay, go ahead.
Mr. Peterson saw Mr. Peterson's name written with all the stuff that he has accomplished when he used to work at the
Where you seen that at?
Park, inside his office.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, he went inside. Right. So, but that's the part I didn't understand. Why are you in his office?
Yeah.
You supposed to be getting something to drink.
Yeah, he was inside his office, rubbishing to do his stuff. They found called up blueprints of when he was saying that.
So he was rambling through his stuff. I mean, I know honestly, he just want to know what's happening. But he's being real bold if you ask me. Because, first of all, he's halfway and a lot way scared of Mr. Peterson and what he might do. But then you rummaging and you trying to sneak around his house? Mm-mm. Go ahead. Oh, yeah, he found the letter. So, guys, this was the letter. Make sure you get to see it. And in that letter, basically, they was telling him how they wasn't going to sue him anymore. Well, they didn't never want to sue him for money. They was pressing charges all this time for the death of Lucy E. And now they're saying that they're not going to pursue civil damages, which would have got them money, because the Apple Corporation was held responsible solely. And so they can't charge Mr. Peterson for the murder, but the parents obviously felt like he was responsible for the murder because he was a mechanic. So we do understand that much. Keep going. Oh, yeah, and then you said the blueprints, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And so go ahead, talk about that. Let me just show them the picture. Then this is the picture of the blueprints that he's talking about. So what was this about?
This is about him.
What's on the blueprint?
About Mr. Peterson. They were saying that Mr. Peterson was in charge of the death of UCB.
Right, but what is this about? What when he seen this was saying what?
He was saying that Aaron was circled all the pictures.
Not Aaron.
Yeah, it was Aaron circled all the pictures. And then,
oh yeah, he is. Oh yeah. Okay.
Yeah, and then he found the name. Instead of Aaron, he said Omen.
Yeah. See that? That is Aaron circled. Y'all guys see that? So Omen means up next, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, and I guess that means it's over top of Mr. Peterson, or is it? Oh no. Well, the omen's on Mr. Peterson's. It says Omen on his face, but then it's circled with Aaron, so we don't know. But that's what he seen when he was in the basement.
Yeah, and then he turned around, then he saw Mr. Peterson blocking the doorway
Mhm.
with the candle, and he was frowning, and then he blew the candle, and then he laughed, and then he stepped aside the door, and then Nikki ran to the hallway to go upstairs, and then he slammed the door and locked the door, and then he went to go see was Aaron underneath the covers.
And first of all, how was Aaron still asleep?
Yes.
That was the other part I didn't understand because they were slamming and banging and running and jumping and he was still over there asleep.
Yeah, we went to go see was Aaron awake or not underneath the covers, and then he forgot his glass of water that he didn't drink.
Right, all that snooping around. He wasn't. He forgot to get him something to drink. That was the worst part right there.
Yeah, then he started thinking about photo after photo of Aaron Circle, the pictures, and Omen.
Right, that's all he could think about was all the stuff that he seen in the basement. But yeah, that was crazy. So now we are on chapter 12, guys. So since Jamir gave y'all such a great and detailed recap, I'm just gonna start out and I will, since it's just me and him, I'll start here, go and back and forth like that. So again, chapter 12. So I throw my gray hoodie on over my backpack, but I should have known Dad would have seen it anyway. Getting a head start on studying Narf, he says, flickering a finger toward my hunched back. Never too early, I say, then shrug. It's the best antidote to his inquiries, a vague response with a shrug. He shakes his head and goes back to whisking whatever is bubbling on the stove. I can barely see the top of Mom's head under all the steam emanating from dinner. She doesn't seem to notice, though. She's onto something. Be safe, she says, without looking up, before she knows where I'm going. Going to errands, I say, even though I think I could have gotten away with saying nothing at all. You're spending an awful lot of time over there, Dad says, whisking so hard he's doing a little dance from his hips down. Whatever happened to Miguel's son Enzo? The Petersons don't mind. I say, avoiding the topic of Enzo altogether. Lou, we really should have them over, he says, but Mom raises her hand to stop him, still looking up from whatever formula has her rapt attention.
7 weeks, she says, like we're supposed to know what she means.
Miraculously,
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 mm-hmm.
Dad does know what she means. Honey, come on. Nope. She says, and we all
Read
know,
louder.
it's the end of the conversation. For whatever she says next is just meant to
Educate,
educate us, not to de-
debate,
debate. 7 weeks and no in
invitation,
invitation over. They don't want to know us. We don't need to know them. She actually means a lot more than she says. We live in enough place to understand the weight under a non invite or a failure to say hello, or the silence that follows when that
introduces,
introduces lose my wife, or Mom points to Jay and my husband. Or maybe it's because Lou, my wife, has at times been described as
abrasive,
abrasive, or Jay, my husband has had to call for too many his newspapers to be considered a real newsman. Maybe it's because the Roth family is a Jewish one, or maybe it's because our house is older, or our cereal is off brand, or our license plates are from another state, or our
accents,
accents don't quite match this side of the country. What we know by now is that we don't need to know them. Is mom's way of protecting us from what people say when they're trying to polite or
Trying to
be polite, or what they don't say when they're trying not to be rude.
This isn't the conversation I want to have tonight, though. Not any night, really, but especially not tonight. I just want to get out the door before I give myself away. I'll talk to them, okay? I say, and mom makes a psst sound. Don't bother, she says, but she says it with a little sing songy voice so I can tell that she's not too upset. Not at the moment, anyway. She's deep in the throes of her research now. I can tell by the way she keeps crackling her knuckles. Don't be too late, Dad says, but he's smiling at Mom like he always does. My backpack and the amount of time I spend across the street are already distant memories. The Petersons' front door is open a crack, and I look around for anyone in the yard. It's empty though. In fact, the whole house seems quiet. I knock softly on the door before opening it a little wider. Hello? Aaron? Anyone there? Then a little softer. Mr. Peterson? I've seen less and less of Aaron's dad lately, a development I couldn't be happier about after the encounter in his study. I still haven't been able to find again, even in the daytime. Not that I want to. Stranger than that, though, is that way no one else in the family seems to bring up his increasingly absence. It's like he's sort of just fading away. I hover by the door for a minute before pulling out Aaron's note.
House at 5 o'clock. I check my watch. It's 5:03. But normally I'm not stuck at stickler for time, but I'm just more nervous for this prank than I've been about the others. Maybe it's because I haven't had the opportunity to test their
Synthesizer,
synthesizer with another
audio
audio
system.
system. Or maybe it's because I've been on edge ever since that night at Aaron's. Asking
I tried.
I
Talk
tried
louder.
I tried asking Aaron about it in the morning, but I don't really know what it was I saw. Whatever it was, one thing was clear. Mr. Peterson was seeing something in Aaron's, and judging by Aaron's presence
Aaron's Aaron's presence.
presence in all those pictures, he sees something in his dad's too. But what what that is, I can barely begin to ask to
To,
guess
mhm.
to guess, but it has something to do with the Golden Apple Music Park. I look at the watch again. It's 5:05. Mrs. Peterson, I try again with then knock a little louder on the open door. Uh, I mean,
Diane,
Diane, this is definitely an
intrusion,
intrusion. Aaron and I might have had
solid.
solid plans, but the plan didn't include me scrolling through his house when no one's here.
The door is open, though. Maybe Aaron meant for me to come in. I'm almost to the kitchen before it dawns on me that something could be wrong. I turn in every direction: the kitchen, the stairway, the three hallways that led to different corners of the house, then back to the open front door. Okay, I've seen all I need to see. I whisper, resolved to give Aaron a hard time later about chickening out. I turn back towards the door and straight into the broad chest of a towering Mr. Peterson. Aaron's not here. I back up so fast I bump into the couch, nearly falling over it. The door was open, I say stupidly. Mr. Peterson doesn't say anything. He just looks at me. No, that's not right. He looks through me. I bet he can see what I have for lunch. Not for long, though, because I'm about to lose it. I, uh, I called for Aaron's not here, he says again. And this time it sounds a lot more like get out of the house before I melt you into a human pile of wax with my death ray eyes. Okay, right, okay, absolutely. I was just on my way out. I dabble all the way to the door, closing it so fast that I catch my heels and scrape the skin. But I hardly feel the sting as I skitter across the street, eyes over my shoulder, waiting for Mr. Peterson to come lumbering through the door and lunging towards me. I'm
I'm to the sidewalk when I allow myself to run through what I saw Mr. Peterson was in the usual anger
Argyle
argyle sweater,
sweater. Mm-hmm.
but something was very wrong. His mustache was curled up so
So
crispily that the tips
practically
practically touch his eyebrows. He had the
gunk
gunk on his hands again, but this time he smeared it on his pants. To hit his hair was
a mess.
mess, and from the swell of him, I guess he hadn't showered in a few days. And there was something else, something truly unsettling. For he looked scared. No scratch that. He looked terrified. Where do you been? I've spent hard enough that this time I do feel the sting of my heel. I buckle under the burn and look down to see that I started bleeding through my sock and all over the back of my veins. When I looked up, Aaron is leaning against the street light, looking bored. What do you mean? Where have I been? Where have you been? I asked. It comes out a little angrier than I mean for it to. But my shoes, these are actually Vans, not knockoffs. I was so lucky to get them for my birthday last year. Did Dad got a nice bonus for once, but now they're got blood on them. And why the heck wasn't Aaron wearing where he said he'd be?
Whoa, whoa, he says, putting his hands up in surrender. I didn't realize the plan was firm. Seriously? I say, folding the heel of the canvas under my foot so I can minimize the damage. Geez, sorry, he says, and it's not enough. I'm mad at him for acting like it's no big deal. Maybe it's more than that. Maybe I'm mad at the more I think I understand Aaron's, the more mysterious his whole life seems. Hey, he says, this time looking genuinely concerned. This is going to be epic. I back down because he's not wrong. This is going to be epic. The only thing that's gotten me through trips to the natural grocer with my mom and Miss Tillman's phony smiles and condensation is the thought that the show of showing people what her fake enlightenment, really is a bunch of farts disguised to sound like caring. She isn't Zen. She's just plain old greedy. I start off ahead of Aaron, still not totally over my frustration, until he says, your Vans look cooler than that. Then I'm okay because He knew I shift my backpack to my other shoulder when we take side streets to the natural grocer. We'll tell each other it so it won't be seen, but really I think it's because that's the long way. And maybe I'm not the only one who's more nervous for this prank. You remember the plan, right? I say, dude, it's my plan. Of course I remember it.
We agreed that I would be the one to distract Mrs. Tillman while Aaron hooked up
The
the
synthesizer.
synthesizer, where I should
I should be handling.
handling the install. But it's more believable that I would be looking for a birthday gift for my mom. Mrs. Mrs. Peterson has already made her opinion of Mrs. Tillman's store pretty known. But we're almost to the store now. We
We are back in the middle of our last taping. The camera stopped. I didn't have enough space. And I just wanted to let you guys know that I apologize that it's taking so long for us to get back to the reading. However, I had math videos in front, so I had to edit and get those out the way. And I also have a cooking channel that I really haven't said anything about, so it just made it backed up. But in every day, we thought about you. Like just now, I just had another storage issue. I promise again, but it's going to the SD card. So this way we can keep up with everything and finish this book once and for all, guys. I appreciate each and every one of you for being so patient with us and helping this channel grow. So, for no later, we don't want to hold you up anymore. So, no further ado, let's just get back to the reading. All right, guys. So, again, we are reading our Hello Neighbors, Missing Pieces. We are in chapter 12 and we stopped on page 148 in case you do have a copy. And so Jamir, he's going to continue from there.
we wait for the rush hours to to terrific of
We wait for the rush hour traffic.
traffic of 6th Street to clear the foggy hour away. Through the straggling cars, and parked vans outside of the natural grocery, hopping the loaded backpack isn't a dead giveaway. Good. Remember to
Disable.
disable the
Primary. Talk louder.
primary auto outlet first. I say to Aaron, I know, and you know to start the volume super low, right? Right, super low. Because the synthesizer is three times as amplified as a normal audio system. Uh-huh, he says. Good. So if you don't start it low, dude, calm down. Aaron says, you do realize we're toast if we get caught. I say, more than with Farmer Llama, like burnt to a crisp toast, like by on fire. Toast. Yeah, I get it. Flame and roasted nuts and all that. Aaron says, but somehow I feel
Unconvinced. The door announces our arrival at the natural grocer. Smoothly, Aaron slips the backpack from my shoulder and makes his way to the back of the store, snaking through the aisles with the more obscure products. Miss Tillman interrupts her own conversation with a customer and takes a moment to eye me. She didn't see Aaron. When she's done extolling the benefits of the wheatgrass to a skeptical looking man, she turns her full attention to me. Hello, Nikki. I remind her, even though every time I've been in here with my mom, she reminded Miss Tillman that my name was Mikey. Is it Mikey? Right? And what brings you in today? I'm looking for a birthday gift for my mom. I say, just like Aaron and I rehearsed. Oh, Miss Tillman looks shocked, and I can feel myself getting defensive already. Do you have anything you would recommend? I asked, pretending to look around at the shelves, but really searching for Aaron. I see his head bobbing down the last aisle by the stairs to the office. The intercom is by the little window that looks out over the whole store from the loft. For your mother, you say, Miss Tillman says, and a weird little smile creeps across her face. Yeah, my mom, I say, pointedly, my full focus back on Miss Tillman because now I know where she's getting at.
What that? No, no. Mrs. Tillman says, and she's terrible at faking
Sincerity.
sincerity. I just didn't think she was what? I could feel my face getting hot. Well, you know the products I sell are for people who have reached a certain level of
Certain
certain level of adjustment
enlightenment.
enlightenment. She has PhD, I say. Mrs. Tillman smiled again.
Talk about her.
Mrs. Tillman smiled again. What I mean is one need to possess more than
Academic,
academic allergies.
intelligence.
She explains like she's doing me a favor. Like there's no way I could possibly understand. I turn away so she could see how red my face is getting or how my eyes are starting to feel wet. Then as I blink, the burning from my eyes, I see Aaron's face in the office window above. He's smiling and giving me a thumbs up, and I think I've never felt more powerful in my whole life. After back to Mrs. Tillman, voice steady. I'll just look around. You've got customers, I say, nodding to the small line that's formed in the time since she's been taken to me.
Talking to me.
Talking to me. There's this man with the weak grasp and a woman with twin kindergartners playing jump rope with the cold, cold,
Coiled.
coiled
Aisle.
aisle separates
Separators.
separators. Mrs. Tillman leaves without excusing herself and scolds the kids for playing on the rope before reaching down to grab the microphone underneath the register.
Sheer assistance is what her mouth forms, but all that comes over the loudspeaker is the sound of Aaron's juiciest, loudest, most earth shattering fart. We could record after a night of survivor bars and two hearts bent on glass warfare. A collective silence follows as we all process what just happened. The kindergartners are, are the ones to break first. Mommy, she tooted, says the girl, laughing riotously. Say, excuse me, the little boy's admonitions. Color drains from Mrs. Tillman's face as she starts to deny it, but her finger is still on the microphone button, and instead of I did not, her mouth farts again. The twins squeal and clap at the performance while the mother tries to settle them. I look at the man at the front of the line. Must be the wheatgrass, I say, and he sets it down so fast the canister tips over and rolls down the aisle. I look up at the office, but I don't see Aaron anymore. Miss Tillman pursues the wheatgrass down the aisle as the mother loses control of the twins already. Let me try, says the boy, who reaches the microphone first. He presses the button and releases another echoing fart, and the kids squeal and trade places. Mommy! the little girl screams into the microphone, sending flatulence thundering across the store. A few more people I did not even know were in the store popped their heads up from the aisles like groundhogs, looking mortified like they were the ones who let it rip.
They turned their silent judgment on Mrs. Tillman, who was still chasing the can of wheatgrass down the far aisle,
Aisle. Aisle.
aisle, right towards the stair to the office. I heard, "Evil I see, and you," she says, and another fart tears through the store. The kindergartners have teamed up now,
Pressing.
pressing their mouths against the microphone at the same time. The speaker begins to crackle, and the
Elation.
elation I feel for one
Glorious.
glorious
Minute.
minute turns to horror as I realize that the speakers are getting ready to blow. Aaron must have turned the volume up too far.
Talk louder.
Too far. I knew you two were up to something. You may have pulled one over on Betty Betty Bevel, but not me. Not this enlightened soul. Mrs. Tillman shrinks, chasing Aaron up the aisle, barely size stepping. The canister of wheatgrass busted. Aaron hisses. As he flies past me. "Stop right there!" Mrs. Tillman screams, lunging after Aaron. But now I'm ahead of him, trying to pry the kindergartners off the microphone before they blow the speakers out. "Wait, your turn," one of them says while the other bites my hand. "Ah!" I pull my hand back just as the mother yanks him off of me, but the little girl is still at the microphone.
Keep going.
Scream farting into the microphone as the speakers pop and crack.
Jumps on top of the checkout counter to escape Miss Tillman's wrath, but it's not him she's reaching for. Instead, she reaches under the counter and slams her hand on a hidden button. Alarm bell sounds and red lights flash, and suddenly a mesh gate closes over both entrances of the store. I look at Aaron, and his wide eyes confirm what I really wanted him to deny. We're cooked. Between the synthesizer and the alarm, the speakers buckle under the pressure, emitting one ear-splitting pop before dying under a fizzle of static. Magically, the alarm still blares from a backup system. A tap at the door catches Miss Tillman's attention, and she rushes to let the guest in. A tired-looking uniformed officer scrolls in, hands over his ears, and surveys the store for what went wrong. "These boys, arrest these boys," Miss Tillman screams, but the officer refuses to uncover his ears. "Marcia, the sirens, please." He nods to the register, evidently aware that Miss Tillman is paranoid enough to have installed a full-blown Fort Knox level alarm system in her stupid store. She hurries to the counter and types in a code, silencing the siren and stopping the red lights from flashing. The officer takes a slow scan of the now silent store, meeting the gaze of every shocked face until he comes to Miss Tillman, who has been waiting impatiently to speak, tapping her fingers on the countertop.
The officer takes his wired frame
glasses
off, drags his palms down his face. then slowly puts his glasses on again. Go on and tell me what happened, Marcia. I think it's obvious.
Keith.
Keith, she says, and it strikes me that she and the officer are on a first name basis, which at first grosses me out because I think maybe they're dating or something. But taking one more look at the officers, Keith, it's clear there's someone else in Ravenbrooks who dislikes Miss Tillman as much as Aaron and I. Well, then pretend like it's not clear to all of us, he says. That lady farted, says the boy who bit my hand. I did not. It was the wheatgrass, says the man at the front of the line. Nope, it's some survival bars, Aaron says, and the twins dissolve into giggles. Aaron starts to laugh too, and I can't believe it. We're up to our eyeballs in trouble.
Talk louder.
In trouble, and he's laughing like a kindergartner. It wasn't. Oh, for heaven's sake, says Mrs. Tillman. These boys did something to my intercom system. She says boys like she doesn't actually believe we're boys. Are
urchins,
maybe, or aliens, or
meat products.
Meat products. Officers. Keith looks between me and Aaron, then settles on me.
True, young man. Did you vandalize Miss Tillman's intercom? It's more like it wasn't. I did it. The entire store turns to Aaron, and I am too shocked to say anything for a moment. You did exactly what? Asked Officer Keith. I blew out her speakers. I was the one. It was all me, he says. I guess the gas made me do it. That's not true, I say, trying to understand why Aaron would take the fall, why he's making so light of it. Is it true, he says, calmly, like he's lied 1,000 times before. No, it's not, Aaron. What are you? It was both of them, Miss Tillman shrieks, and Officer Keith puts his hands up. Okay. I think I've got a clear enough picture of what's going on, he says, looking back at the boys who accused Miss Tillman of farting. Sounds to me like a couple of young gentlemen owe Miss Tillman a heartfelt apology and a new sound system. A rock sinks in my stomach at the thought of how much a new sound system will run, how I'm ever going to scrape together enough to pay for it. I can barely conceive of how I'm going to apologize to Miss Tillman.
I look at Aaron, but he won't meet my gavel.
He won't meet my gaze.
Our parents arrive at the same time, and this is how they finally meet, with Officer Keith between them explaining that they owe Miss Tillman
$5,000
for new speakers, describing the prank. It even detailed to take all the magic out of it that it might have held after the
seriousness
of our offense had passed. Mom and Mr. Peterson.
That's Miss Peterson.
Mrs. Peterson catch each other staring a couple of times. I noticed, and in those moments, it almost looked like the same woman, strong and tired and angry, and not altogether surprised. Dad staying behind, my mom's arm folded tight across his chest. Mr. Peterson stands beside Aaron, and This is the first time today I actually see fear in Aaron's eyes. I want to say goodbye to Aaron, but sometimes that was me. This would be the worst thing to do right now. I immediately regret not only once we get in the car, Drew, because
No.
the first thing out of mom's mouth is, well, I hope you had fun with your friends because that
Talk louder.
you had fun with your friends, but that's the last you're gonna see. You're going to see him. Mom, that's not fair. You want to talk about fair? Let's talk about what singing bonus is going to buy, shall we? Do you surprise it's a new washing machine? No, I muddle, rubbing the bruise on my hands where the kindergarten bit me. Are we going to get candle to you can watch all those ridiculous movies you've been begging me to see?
And this is the incident report that they brought up to show the parents that they had to pay $5,000 for what they did. And this is what the officer showed the parents. Mm-hmm. No. Oh, that's right. We're going to be buying Little Miss Nestmate a new sound system so she can sell more $80 salt crystals to morons who can't see how pretentious. Lou, Dad said quietly, and she calms down immediately. Not that she should. Not that she should. Not only did I cause mom to have to give money to a person that looks down on people like us, but I have no idea when I'm going to be able to hang out with Aaron again. Tonight was supposed to be epic. I never laughed so hard as when we were recording those farts for the synthesizer that night at his house. Now I can hardly remember why we thought this would be such a good idea. I've never felt worse. Not after my grandma died. Not after the time that I ate expired SpaghettiOs and thought I died of food poisoning. Not after we had to leave my favorite town, where I managed by some miracle to blend in. Nothing fears me. Nothing feels worse than being driven home with your parents explaining to you that you've disappointed them. Nothing feels this bad, except being forbidden to hang out with the one person you've met in your entire life who maybe, just maybe, knows what it's like to be utterly alone and not okay with it. That feels worst of all. Oh, how do you feel about that? That was sad, right? I mean, nah, what they did wasn't right, you know. But no, but what they did wasn't right, and that's what you gotta realize. Like, you can't be doing things that's not right. But I get the fact that he found a friend. You know, that was his thing, and that's the thing. When you're trying to find a friend, or you want to find a friend, you still gotta understand a friend is supposed to teach you to do the right things. They're not supposed to help you do the wrong things. So I don't agree with what happened. You know, I feel like, you know, they should be feeling bad because while they thought their joke was funny, it really wasn't. It's in her store business. And whether you think she's charging too much for it, I mean, she's the businesswoman. You don't have to buy her stuff. But I mean, I get the kids want to be kids and they thought that would be funny. But that joke cost them, because now they can't hang out. So I wonder what's going to happen next. What you think is going to happen next?
I think they're gonna try to find a way how they can hang out.
Of course, that sounds necessary, but see, that's the thing. You shouldn't be having to try to sneak. You should be trying to show people your better sides, and then you don't have to worry about that. You know what I mean? Um, but how do you feel about what happened in the book? Like, what was going on with the fart synthesizer and making everybody fart? Like, I don't even know why boys think that's funny. Ha ha, it's not. Like, it's silly. Like, we get it, but I mean, really? to that degree too.
In a store.
Right, and then to that degree we had to get on the intercom and all of that. Like, he was doing the most. So, guys, that was chapter 12, right? Yeah, that was chapter 12. So we look forward to seeing you coming back and catching us on chapter 13. We are almost there, and we are definitely not going to make sure, we're going to make sure we get this out ASAP. All right? So we check you out on the next one.